Jordyn Brooks has, unfortunately for Jordan, been placed on the injured reserve. Obviously, that ends his season. The bigger concern, though, is how long his injury is going to keep him away from football. ACL injuries are really, really tough, depending on whether it's fully torn and he'll need surgery, or maybe it's just a strain or a sprain and he can try to heal naturally. If it's a full tear where he'll need surgery, usually that keeps you sidelined for, 10 months? Around there,
Minimum,
up to a year?
unless you're Adrian Peterson, you're playing in 8 months.
I still can't believe that. And that is one of the most insane stories for a reason, because most people are sidelined for about a year.
Yep.
If Jordyn Brooks has to have surgery to repair a torn ACL, I would not expect him to be ready week 1. If he is, congratulations. That's amazing. I'm so happy for him. But it does affect what the Seahawks are going to do in the draft and in free agency, because that is not only your starting interior linebacker or one of your interior linebackers, that's your guy. That's your best linebacker. So what do you do now? You already thought, Bump, that they might go linebacker in the draft. Do you think because of Jordyn Brooks being hurt that they go linebacker sooner?
Possibly. There was no way they were going to leave this draft without addressing that second level. We've seen Jordyn Brooks and Cody Barton, and then we've seen just how thin they are, man. Like, you're relying on Tanner Muse now. What they just elevated a guy with Alexander, I think his name is. So anyway, either way you put it, they have been thin all year at that linebacker spot. So I knew going into this draft they were going to address it. Now that Jordyn Brooks is going to be out, that puts a bit more urgency on this deal. I watched the game last week. I'm looking at Cody Barton. Didn't play a bad game. Looking at Tanner Muse. Didn't play a bad game. But it's just different when Jordyn Brooks is out there. Dude flies to the football. He's fast as heck. He's violent. Yeah, his first-round pick. Plays like a first-round pick. So now that Jordyn Brooks is banged up, you probably won't see him until the end of the season, if you see him at all, honestly. When it happened, I looked at whoever was sitting next to, I go, that's the worst time for this injury to happen. Like, if this is going to happen earlier in the season, the better, because then you have more time to recover. You can get back and play a bit more. But, yeah, I think they have to look at this draft and say, all right, man, we have to fill a void right now because we're missing one of our guys.
Yeah, and I know that there are some players who have suffered injuries late, but the ligament injuries are really, really tough, right? Like, it is, in a weird way, sometimes it's easier to come back from a broken bone than it is from a torn ACL.
Yeah, for sure. Bones, they fuse together.
It
Heals, it gets even stronger. You know what I'm saying? With these ligaments, everybody responds differently.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it was devastating to see it go down. And when I saw Jordyn Brooks go down, I was like, please just be hyperextended. You know what I mean? But then when he started grabbing his knee, I'm like, all right, next guy's up. That's the name of the game. You never want to see it happen. But throughout the season, I guarantee you their approach has changed when it comes to this NFL draft, because the team changes throughout the season. Like, if you isolate the team through 4 quarters, you can't really do it because it's 17 games. Our perception on this team has been different, right?
Yes.
The first quarter is like, just win it. Just be Denver and we'll see what happens. Second quarter, you're like, okay, Geno's playing well. We might be okay. Third quarter happens, you're saying, man, but this run defense, we cannot stop the run. Everybody's running. And now to end this thing, you're like, just win this last game and see if you sneak in the playoffs. I have to imagine it's the same type of process with the scouting department and with this football, football coaches. It's like, all right, this is who we are now. So towards the end of the season, this is the most accurate version we're going to get of this team now. You need a linebacker, you need interior linemen, you need defensive linemen, and sprinkle everybody else in. You probably get a running back too, honestly, because you don't know what's going to happen with Rashad Penny.
Yep, that's a good point. That's and especially for the team Pete Carroll wants to be, right? Like, it's the same thing for, like, I like the debate of whether you take a quarterback early just for the debate itself, because it's an interesting conversation to have. Do I think that Pete Carroll thinks that a amazing franchise-altering quarterback is the thing that gets you to a Super Bowl? No, I think he looks at with value at a lot of other positions, and I think he would love to have an elite defense and a quarterback who can distribute the ball.
Here's one thing we know about Pete Carroll. If he believes in you and he trusts you, he's going to give you multiple opportunities to prove yourself. Before this season started, he had a belief in Geno that no one else had. Him and Shane had a belief in Geno that no one else had, and it worked out for him. If anything, man, his belief has been reassured, and he even has more belief now, because now he's a Pro Bowler. He's breaking franchise records. I'm sure he's looking at Geno and saying, we're good for the next few years. You still might have to get a quarterback to back him up. So his decision-making has been on point so far. The draft was great last year. You got Geno this year. So going forward, they've done a great job of addressing positions. And I think that's just what you have to do at this point. It's kind of like when you get into a fantasy draft and you already have your guys, you're like, okay, but he's out week 8, so I got to get a guy to fill here. That's how they're looking at, all right, Jordyn Brooks is going to be out. We need a guy there. Al Woods is getting older. You need a guy there. I think they will hit every spot that needs to be addressed. Now it's just how early and when do you do it? And now the quarterback thing is just, it makes this thing even that much more complicated. Because I don't think they need it, but I am mad if they do it.
That's how I
makes
feel.
sense.
Yeah, like I would understand if they did. It's just, because it's the most important position in football.
Yeah.
One of the most important positions in sports. They just have so many other areas.